Hey, what's up everybody? Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for checking out our Magical Shockwave elements. We have 25 different options that you can pick from, and I have a few quick tips when using them. First of all, if you download them and unzip them, you'll notice that we have 10 different layers. We have 5 different VDB layers, so these are the VDBs, and then we have 5 different particle layers. The one thing I want to stress is that we have included a lot of layers so that you have tons of flexibility, but you do not need to use all 10 of them. In fact, I would recommend you use as few as possible. The more you add, the slower it's going to get to render, but we wanted to really give you a lot of options so that you can colorize them differently and so that you can dial in the look that you want. You don't even have to use the particles if you don't want to. You could just use the VDBs. Let's bring in a VDB and I'm going to show you a couple quick tips. All right, we'll bring these in at meter scale. And this is the VDB. Let me turn off the plane in the background so you can see it better. This is one of the layers. So let's bring in the second layer here. And you can see that we have another layer of VDB and they are just layered on top of each other. And the reason we did this is so that you can colorize these various layers different colors and you can really have a lot of flexibility. And just to reiterate, you do not need to use all of these. You can just start with one, and if you want a little more detail, you can add another one. In order to shade the VDBs, I have a bunch of tutorials on our tutorial section you can check out. If you're using Redshift, you can just go to Material. In the new version of Redshift, they have a standard volume, which I don't like as much. So what I like to do is hit Shift-C and search for volume. They have this standard volume now, but I like the old one better. It has more options. So let's just take this one and pipe it into our volume. We can get rid of that standard one. The reason I like this one better is because it has this advanced tab where you can really remap all of the settings. But basically, all you have to do is put the density into the scatter here. So let's throw this onto our volume and we'll hit render, and you can see that this is our density. All right, so now what we can do is play around with the color. We can make this any kind of magical color that we want. Now what we can do is go into our advanced tab and you can play around with the density remapping settings. And this is a nice way to kind of dial in if they're thicker or thinner, and something like that will look pretty good. These are obviously quite a bit too dark. Let's duplicate this volume texture. Let's put it on a new one, and let's go in here and we'll change this one to maybe like a purple. And you can see that how we can start layering the different colors and getting more and more detail on here. All right, let's bring in these particles. We'll hit Shift so that we bring it into the same project. Make sure that the points are set to as polygon object, and we'll import these. Let's turn off our volumes here. That way we can see the particles. Here are our particles, and now we just have to shade them. I also have a tutorial on how to shade particles, but just a really quick refresher, in Redshift, you would just use a matrix scatter. And in that matrix scatter, you're gonna change it from grid to object. And then in this object slot, we're gonna drag these particles. Then all we have to do is change the distribution to vertex. And now we will have these particles being rendered here. They're gonna probably be a little bit too big. So if we go to our tag here, under the particles tab, we can change the scale. Maybe go to 0.5, something like that. And now we have our particles. So we have the particle animations that are separate from the VDBs. You could honestly just use the particles if you wanted to, or just use the VDBs. It's completely up to you. The nice thing about these is that we can texture these whatever we want as well. And now if we layer on top our VDBs, we're starting to really be able to dial in the look that we want here. And the beauty of this is that it is super customizable. You can really dial in the look exactly how you want it. You can add some post effects bloom to have some glows here, and it's gonna be pretty epic. All right, that's a quick look at our Magical Shockwaves. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy. Cheers.